Like a lot of filmmakers, I was drawn to the unexplained as a source of inspiration. But the more I've explored real-life paranormal encounters, the more I've had to question everything I thought I knew. I now know that there is something out there, and we can engage with it. Myself and fellow filmmaker Andy are inviting you to tag along on our journey so that you can see for yourselves. We'll be travelling across the UK, seeking out genuine paranormal investigations.
The woman that's been seen on the stairs inside the castle.
Wow.
From real-life teams.
Just disappears into nothing. Yeah.
Hell-bent on finding answers.
I've got chills. Yes.
What is happening? Over the next 3 episodes, we journey to the picturesque southwest of England, a county so captivating that many souls never leave. Somerset. Welcome to the Supernatural UK.
Playtime.
Tonight we'll be heading to Bath Theatrical Costume Hire in Frome. Our investigators are the curator, the psychic witch, and the seer.
Bath Theatrical Costume Hire is a 50-year-old family business run by third-generation owner Rosette Orton. She's worked here for 23 years.
My grandmother, my mother and myself have all run it in very different ways. We still do everything by hand and in a very old-fashioned business.
The unit is home to some 30,000 outfits, all available for theatrical and party hire.
They might go out now as costumes, but they were somebody's clothing. Well, we have an original Victorian wedding dress here. We haven't made it to look like it was from 1894. It really was made in 1894. You know, somebody got married in that dress.
Rosette and her team believe that they share the workplace with potentially multiple occupants, some of them more mischievous than others.
When I say I haven't seen a child here, but there has been talk of the face of a child peeking out from one of the aisles.
So I was in here one day and I was putting away some hangers, which you can see behind me. I was sorting them into the boxes. And as I was bent over, I felt this tug at the bottom, at the back of my gilet. And I turned around and obviously there was no one there, there was no one around. But I just thought, you know, at that sort of height, it's probably a little boy.
And there's a Humpty Dumpty that sits on a high shelf out of the way so that nobody can play with him. And on a couple of occasions we've come and he's been on the floor.
Even Rosette's grandmother had regular tales to tell back in the day.
She used to tell me about these ladies who she referred to as the Silk Ladies. She could hear their silk dresses coming up the stairs. There's also another character who we have named James, and he apparently is a ghost that lives here who has a great sense of humour, or at least he thinks he does. I came across him first when I could smell cigarette smoke. This bay here is our British military bay, with a few spare costumes in there, which are out of the way. But yeah, this is where we believe James hangs out, because this is where I've smelt the cigarette smoke, and by the front door, so that's why we think he might be military. There's a few times where things have disappeared, and I say disappeared, you know, they were there, you know they were there, you put them there yourself, and then you come back 2 minutes later and it's gone, and then you come back a day later and it's there again. Yeah, I'd just be curious to know where they came from and why they're hanging out here.
Hoping to learn more, Rosette has decided to open up the building for paranormal investigation. She has the full backing of best friend Pauline.
I'm just interested to see exactly what we can find here, because this building is so full of interesting items, and as Rosette said, they're not costumes. A lot of them belong to people. It'd be nice to see if some of those people influence live on in their costumes.
I'm excited. I'm not nervous, I'm just excited.
This investigation will be in 2 parts and hosted by psychic investigators Lucy Bilton and Kate Ray.
Lucy and her paranormal investigator husband Chris Howley kick things off, visiting blind with no prior knowledge of their destination or Rosette's story.
Here.
You're picking something up already?
Yeah,
That's a good sign.
I've got pins and needles.
Is there anyone in here who can hear my voice? You can try and talk to Lucy. Lucy can hear you. Have you got a message for anybody? Is there a reason why you're still here? Is there anyone here with us?
Suddenly, a name comes to Lucy's mind.
John? John, could you make some noise for me, please? Sorry to ask.
Can you show us where you are?
You can make quite a lot of noise on a lot of the things in this building. I think you do it anyway.
What was that?
No. What did you hear?
The footstep.
Did you? Was that you, John?
It wasn't road noise.
Behind you?
Yeah. Was that you, John? Is that your name? Is it just John you're picking up on that you've got a name at the moment?
So many different energies.
Do you hear that? Behind me. Is that her? Is she right behind me?
Well, she's getting closer.
Can you move any of these clothes?
Moments later, Lucy spots some movement on one of the clothes rails.
Move the ribbon. That's it. Can you move it more for us? Yeah, that's it. Can you do it stronger? So you're really sort of pulling it backwards and forwards.
So I'm feeling little cold spots all around, but not.
Keep stopping and starting.
I can't see where the draft would be coming from because it's quite well packed, all this. It's like a windbreak if there was any draft coming through.
Doing it again. Are you moving that ribbon to say hello? You're only young, aren't you? That's it. Thank you. You keep moving it. Oh, you're doing really well. Can you move it back? Doing really well for us, darling. It's cold around the river.
Was the ribbon simply being moved by a breeze, or was it something else? Chris and Lucy report their findings to owner Rosette and her friend Pauline.
She has picked up on 3 spirits.
The most active, I'd say, has been a little girl. And she's been reacting to when I talk to her. And she's been moving the ribbon backwards and forwards. She dates back to, I'd say, early Victorian, Edwardian. Then there was a man, I picked up the name John, but I don't know if that was him, but he's quite interested in the building.
I mean, what we thought was, if you're in agreement, is if we could all get together to do a seance to see if we can bring any more forward from any of these spirits that you've
Yeah,
got
I'm up
here.
for that, yeah. How would you feel about if we perhaps picked out some bits of clothing from the eras that you talked about, maybe?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
But first, Chris and Lucy can't resist introducing the ladies to their new friend.
Can you see it moving?
Yes, I can now.
Yeah.
Onwards to the round table.
Looking forward to doing the mini seance with the owners, dressed in some costume. Whether that will provoke a reaction, we'll soon find out.
Medium Lucy begins by trying to contact the spirit of the young girl.
Can you follow me through into here?
You make a noise to show us where you are, or move something.
I can feel my fingertips pulsing. My heartbeat in my fingertips. Can you feel it between our fingers?
Yeah.
Who's doing that? It's not very nice.
I felt a breeze across my face then. If you're dropping the temperature, that means you're taking energy out of the room. What are you going to do with that energy? Are you going to move the table for us? Are you going to make a noise?
It feels like something's moving a little bit.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the seance is interrupted by a noise coming from the main warehouse. Chris goes to investigate and returns with strange news.
I'll come show you. The dress is on the floor.
The ribbon of the dress that they witnessed earlier has somehow ended up on the floor.
Coming out after the seance, the dress where the ribbons have been blowing, to find that on the floor. I mean, I can't explain how that got there.
The fact that none of the 30,000 items in the warehouse have fallen only deepens the mystery.
Sometimes it's not all bangs and
No.
flying things over your head. It's a dress on the floor.
There you go.
Lucy picked up on potentially multiple energies in the warehouse. We had footsteps, a character potentially known as John, a moving ribbon, and a dress on the floor. Continuing the psychic theme, we're coming back for a second visit, albeit from a slightly different approach. One that requires a very particular skill set. The Seer. This investigation begins 170 miles away from Frome, in Nottingham. Kate doesn't yet know anything about Rosette's story, Frome, or Bath Theatrical Costume Hire.
I am a paranormal investigator, and one of the tools that I use is remote viewing. Remote viewing is putting my energy into a property or a place that can be thousands of miles away, and I can view that property or that place just by sitting at home. I see energies of the living, I see emotions of living people. I occasionally come across the dead if they have a strength to come through onto that plane, and I see non-human entities and energies.
Kate tells me that up to 30% of us might well have the potential to access remote viewing if trained with intention, focus and openness, but we're often closed off to it.
And we tell ourselves that it's a daydream or just a thought that's popped in our head.
But low-key signs of it can show up in our daily lives.
And it can often be things like somebody's going to ring you, the telephone rings, you know exactly who it is before you pick up that telephone.
So, how effective is Kate's ability?
In terms of success rate, shockingly high. I would say, 85 to 90% of the time, the information that I give over has a hit rate to it.
Kate is about to attempt to access Bath Theatrical Costume Hire remotely, never having visited before. She can enter a property remotely by simply focusing on an image of its front door.
So I'm just walking up to the door. I always knock to be polite. So the first encounter that I'm receiving are two ladies. They're very busy. They're slightly transparent. An odd sense that the collection, the things that are there shouldn't be there, that they should be in a different building that looks very different. It's taller and narrower. An old townhouse, it has that feel. There is almost like flickers of other energies to the rear of the building. There are all kinds of different people. It's not living energy. And they're going from the wrong way through the building. They're going from one side to the other side instead of front to back. There's definitely a high energy of children just running around like rambunctious urchins, and they are not going to listen. I'm going to have to shout at them. So 2 of the children have kind of disappeared at that. I don't think they took to that very well. But one of them, there's something very sweet but very odd about this particular character. There's definitely a melancholy around this child. That's made me quite emotional.
What's triggered that? Why do you think you feel emotional?
I think it's because I felt this kid's sadness. Like it's almost like a desperation. You know, when a young child kind of loses sight of the parents in a big place or a shopping centre, and they get that kind of almost frantic, like the world's caving in on them. It had that kind of overlay of like this child was reliving something. An abandonment, reliving an abandonment. That was, yeah.
Kate visits Frome and claps eyes on the building for the very first time in real life.
This is definitely the place. Hello? Is that?
Yes, nice to meet you.
You too.
Hi.
Hi.
So, I believe we've been remotely viewed, have we?
You have. I think we need a cuppa.
Okay. Come through and tell me all about it.
Beyond her ability to remote view, I have told Rosette very little about Kate, and the two have never met or communicated.
One of the first things that came to me was the collection had been somewhere else, and the property that it was in before felt almost like a townhouse. It was a very tall building, quite narrow building, and old. I came across 2 ladies. They seemed to be busying themselves with something. They were dressed in either Edwardian or Victorian dress. They came flickering in and out, almost see-through, which says to me that they probably aren't that active or communicative. And then in came, like a whirlwind, 3 children. They were messing about, they felt feral. One of those children stepped forward, very, very small child, I would say probably 4 years old maximum, and I could feel the little hands gripping onto my trousers. The most beautiful angelic face. And as it was looking up at me, it started to morph, and its eyes grew larger, and its face started to change. This child turned into a goblin.
Okay.
It wanted to show me something, so it took my hand and it took me through the building, and it showed me a picture of a woman in either Edwardian or Victorian dress. And this is who this child is drawn to. This is the one he was telling me he was drawn to on a paternal level.
Wow.
Now I do question whether this child believing he's a goblin, has been told that that's his personality and that's how he acted when he was alive. So he's taken on this persona, or whether this is actually a non-human entity from that realm that's taking on that form of a child.
Rosette seems to be taking things in her stride. So does any of this stack up?
Yes, actually, yeah. The business originally started at my grandmother's, and she lived in a very tall Georgian house, very narrow, 1 room wide, and 5 stories high.
No.
And that's where she started the collection.
Okay, so there's her first hit.
And she always used to talk to me about who she called the Silk Ladies. She called them the Silk Ladies because she said you could hear their silk dresses coming up the stairs, and then they would go to what had previously been the kitchen, and you would hear the tinkering of teacups as they were having tea.
That's wonderful.
And so when the costumes moved from Bath to here, we always wondered if the Silk Ladies had ever come here. And there have been, on a couple of occasions, people sensing them down by, surprisingly enough, the Victorian, where we keep the Victorian costumes, that there has been a presence of at least one woman who's walked past and people have felt her or felt her presence.
And a second.
There has also been indications of a child here. We're not quite sure how old the child is, but the indication is that it's 7 or less, you know, not a teenager. That has also been seen down near where the Silk Lady was seen.
How interesting. So
on
there
a
is
couple of occasions.
that connection then of them being seen together.
Yeah.
That's
But
extraordinary.
we have no idea who they were or anything. I personally have never seen them.
And there's a third, a phenomenal hit rate even by Kate's standards. But what about the high traffic of people moving across from one side to the other?
It was a dyeing mill. So the chances are there were children here who were with their mothers while the mothers were working.
But that would explain if it had been a working mill with people taking the same route through the building.
And the mill was across the road. So when the road wasn't here, there's probably would have walked between, it's now been converted into flats. So they would have been walking across.
Yes, and not sort of front to back, but side to side.
Well, there's a river at the other end, so nobody's walking anywhere.
So a full house for Kate. Does this mean we're going to meet a goblin tonight?
Have you ever considered the possibility that there might not be human ghosts?
No, that has never crossed my mind before at all. But I'm not sure whether the word goblin is more of an adjective than a noun, and therefore it's more of a behaviour pattern than it is an actual figure, if you see what I mean. Have a nice night. Good luck. See you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
So that's me, Andy, Kate, and God only knows who locked in for the night. Coming up in part 2, communication picks up in a costume warehouse.
No.
But will anybody come out and play with us?
Bang! I need to get out.
Okay.